Oh, next question's a little bit political. Corbyn or Bojo? This next question's jokes. Favorite thing to have roti with? The most boring thing about my training contract? Good question. So another question. Have I ever been a victim of harassment due to my religion or ethnicity? Oh, this next question. I don't know how to answer. Okay. Thoughts on dating as a Punjabi? Semi-serious, but also me sliding into the DMs. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Simranjeet Mann here. If you're new here, I am a trainee solicitor at a UK top 20 law firm. And I make videos for aspiring solicitors. I make videos about general careers advice, vlogs, personal development, all of that special stuff. And today is a really important milestone. I've reached 3,000 subscribers. Before I start off this video, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed, supported, whether you supported since day 1 or day 365, because we are approaching 1 year now on YouTube. Your support honestly means so much. Starting YouTube was very much a spur of the moment decision. It wasn't something that I'd really kind of thought about before. It was just like, I like talking in front of a camera. Obviously, I've got a long way to go and you guys are all here on the journey with me as well. So really excited to see where this channel develops. And yeah, thank you. As the title of this video suggests, today is going to be more of an informal kind of chat. On Instagram, I asked you all to ask me questions about anything. It could be about the training contract process, it can be about studying law, it can be about careers, it can be about me personally, it can be anything, honestly, anything. And there are some juicy questions here, I'm not gonna lie to you. So you guys really understood the motive and you understood the assignment and you delivered, so thank you for that. Because I received so many questions, I have split them into separate categories. So if there is a particular category that you're interested in, just skip to it below using the timestamps. So Khadija has asked, how old am I? I am 23. Nike or Adidas? I mean, checks over stripes always. That's why I'm wearing the Drake t-shirt. Checks over stripes. That's what we like. Juhi has asked, free Cuthbert or free Colin? I'm not gonna lie, I might be on Cuthbert with this one purely because of the memes that were produced after the whole thing had turned out. My favorite AP Dylan bop. I would say Excuses. Excuses is such a banger. Oh, next question's a little bit political. Corbyn or Bojo? Corbyn, I'd say, rather than Bojo, if I'm honest with you. Final question for this quickfire round. Golgappe or Pani Puri? I mean, I'm Punjabi and it has to be Golgappe for me, but obviously there are people who call it Pani Puri as well. Like Golgappe, I feel like really encapsulates what a Golgappa is. Like, it's like a Golgappa, you know? So I've been asked, what are the top 5 cuisines, dishes or foods? I would go with cuisines. So obviously Punjabi food is going to be top 1 for me. Like Punjabi food, in my opinion, is my favorite. I have it pretty much every day. So obviously it's going to be my favorite. Then I would go for Thai food. And then I would go for Japanese. Then I'd go for Korean. I'm really kind of going down that Asian route. I just really love Asian food. I think it's just amazing. Let me go something European, maybe like Italian food for number 5. I'd say, you know, Italian food's pretty peng as well. Sheen has asked me what's my favorite snack. So before I answer this question, you guys have to check out Sheen's channel. Her growth has been absolutely amazing. Check it out. My favorite snack, I would say Thai sweet chili sensations, but it has to be the big pack, not the small kind of 6 multi-pack ones, because I just feel like the big ones, they just bang more. They just taste nicer for some reason, whereas the 6-pack, they just don't hit as hard as the big pack does. So Thai sweet chili sensations crisps, elite. This next question's jokes. Favorite thing to have roti with? I would say chili paneer, hands down. Chili paneer is peng. I would say saag is like a close second though. I really do like saag, so that relates to the next question of is whether saag is my favorite food. Saag is definitely up there. Mum, if you're watching this, your saag is elite. I love your saag so much, so thank you for that. Next question, English or desi chai? I actually don't drink tea or coffee that much because it just makes my heart really like jittery, but that's not to say I can't make cha. I can make cha, so that's a little flex there. Definitely desi cha though, because English cha, I no offense, but like, it just doesn't look appealing and it isn't that appealing. Whereas desi chai has all these little elements to it that are so nice. I don't know how you call them in English, but all your like elechi, and like you can put a bit of ginger in there as well. You can put a little bit of sonf in there. It's peng. I don't know what those words translate to in English, but yeah, it's peng. Do you think a tutu will hold me back from a career in commercial and IP? So there are firms out there that do accept people that don't have 2-1s. I would say, like, just from an honest perspective, having a 2-2 does make it harder to get into the legal career compared to someone who's got a 2-1 or a first, but it's not impossible. You can still get there. There are different kind of schemes out there available, especially for people who have 2-2s, because I don't think grades and stuff should really define your career and like where you want to go. So there are places, for example, like Trainee that take on people who have 2-2s. There's a link that I can provide in the video description as well from Chamber Student, where they kind of list and summarize which firms care about grades and which ones don't. So I'll put that in the video description for you. So the next question that's been asked is, did I ever take a break from training contract applications? Well, the year I took it seriously, that was in the space of like kind of one cycle. I don't think I really... There were times where I took breaks, but they were only for like a week or two, and then I kind of just carried on, if I'm honest with you. Some people may need longer breaks, some people may not take as many breaks as others. I guess it's really kind of more of a subjective question in terms of what works out well for you. I guess this next question kind of relates to that previous one in terms of how do you cope with peer pressure during the application season. I think there were definitely times, I'm just reflecting back on my year when I was applying, there were definitely times where I was invited to a motive and I just felt like I couldn't go to it because I was doing applications, because I was so busy, because I had an interview next week or whatever. And I think one thing I just told myself is, look, Sim, this is just a short-term pain for a long-term gain. For me, for that year, I essentially did prioritize my career, and I have no regrets in doing that, and I don't feel bad for doing that, because that was the year where I put myself first and my future first. And I feel like when it comes to fun stuff, social stuff, you are going to get FOMO. You are going to feel like, you know, I wish I went, but there will be several events that you can go to in the future as well. But for me, it was just kind of like, I'm not saying that I turned down every single social event ever during that year. I just really kind of evaluated whether it was the right time in that particular situation for me to go and hang out with my friends, when really, for example, if I had an interview the next week or like in a couple of days, would that have been a wise thing to do? So I'm really glad that I did that, and that's kind of how I coped with it. I just thought about the long-term effects rather than just focusing more on short-term gains. So next question, biggest challenge you faced when applying for jobs? The biggest challenge I faced was, I guess, the uncertainty of it all. Really kind of going through an application and thinking, you know what, this might not even go through, I could be wasting my time. I think that uncertainty was a big challenge for me when I was applying. This is a cool question by Prab. So what strength did you discover during the TC or application process? I would say resilience. That's the first time I understood the actual importance of hard work and how your hard work can pay off, and, you know, in times of uncertainty and adversity, how you can still, like, your bodies can still push through. And any tips for a final interview at vacation scheme to convert to a training contract offer? I would say first, like, one tip, really quick tip, is to really reflect on your experiences during the vacation scheme. Really keep a journal of what worked well for you, you know, what challenges you faced during the vacation scheme, who you met, and then you can talk about that in your final interview. Sometimes you get questions in your final interview during a vacation scheme where they ask questions like, what have you learned? Has your perception of the firm changed since you've been there? So you can really use that journal to reflect on that element. So that's one thing I'd really recommend in terms of tips for converting your final TC, your final interview at a vacation scheme to a TC. My first training contract interview experience. My first vacation scheme interview experience was at an assessment centre at Simmons & Simmons, and I remember just being really scared for that, like really frightened. And that came across in my performance. I got rejected after because they could tell I had a lack in confidence. Did you struggle to find a TC without the offer of a paralegal first? I wouldn't particularly say so, because my first vacation scheme was straight after I graduated university, so I didn't really need a paralegal role to do that. However, that was with the Big Four, and I feel like for private practice, I think paralegaling did help me out. However, that's not saying that paralegal is essential, like it's not essential to be a paralegal, but even now, during my training contract, I feel like my paralegal experiences have really helped, because I'm familiar with certain softwares because I've used them before. If I hadn't studied law at undergrad, what would I have studied? I would have probably done English literature or history, both subjects that I really did enjoy. Is there anything I wish I did differently as a law student? Yes, I wish I got more involved in my law society. I wish I put more emphasis in networking events, so I researched them beforehand. I wish I applied to open days and insight days. That's what I really wish I did differently if I went back in time. Did you get involved with the Punjabi Sock a lot at Bristol? Yeah, I was like part of the founding committee. So imagine when we went to Bristol, there was no Punjabi society there. There wasn't even any Sikh society there when we joined. So that was like my first kind of like, oh God, like where is my representation? And I was part of the founding committee to help found the Punjabi society at my university. In my final year, I was the president. So yeah, very much like, I guess I was like quite involved in it. I wish I was more involved. Like, I wish I held more events. I wish I did more. I wish I left more of like a legacy, I guess. But, you know, hey ho, I'm glad I got involved, and I'm glad that society exists now in Bristol and there is that form of representation. What was my first job? So my first job was tutoring. I used to tutor, and I was like a teaching assistant for this company that taught kids the 11 plus. So I used to help teach kids like from year 3, 4 and 5 in the 11 plus. So Fariha asks, how is my TC life going? TC life, you know, it's going great. I think the first couple of weeks I really kind of struggled a little bit. However, now I guess I've really kind of settled in. The last 2 weeks of my role have been my favourite because I've been keeping really busy. I've been giving a lot of work, not only for my own office, but nationally as well. I'm working with the Scotland office, I'm working with the Newcastle office, and it just feels really fulfilling to know that I feel like a valued team member. I've been given significant responsibilities. I've been challenged, which I like. And yeah, I think I've really kind of fostered really great first impressions and relationships with people in the team already, so I'm really happy about that. So far so good. Another question that's been asked is, besides law, what other careers would you have been interested in entering? I think one thing that I'm really interested in is entrepreneurship and business, so really kind of using your creativity to start our own business, and I just find that really exciting. That could be something that I do in the future, who knows. So that's one thing, that's another kind of career I would have gone down. I would have also really liked to perhaps like been an author or maybe like a journalist. I think like that would have been something that would have been really cool. When I was young, I really wanted to be an actress. Obviously I can't act, so I don't know why that ever came about. This question's pretty cool. So if you had a casual Friday at work where you could wear anything, what would you wear and why? So I would come in, if I could wear anything, honestly, I would just wear joggers, grey joggers, and a grey sweatshirt, and my Nike Air Forces. And that's it. The most boring thing about my training contract. Good question. 2 things. Firstly, time recording. I find it kind of tedious at times. I think that's quite boring. And secondly, I would say when your team is quiet, when there's not enough work going on, which does happen during a training contract, you can't be busy flat out 24/7. I think those are kind of like the boring elements, because I start feeling like, oh, what do I do kind of thing, especially when you're in the office, you're just there like what more can I do? So I'd say those are the most boring elements of a training contract. What would my dream secondment be? So my firm offers client secondments at loads of different places. I think doing in-house there would be great. How do you deal with making a big mistake at work? So this happened to me recently. I made a bit of a mistake at work. Let me just go through the process of how I reacted to it. So firstly, I just stepped away from my desk and just looked outside, and I was just fuming with myself, like so annoyed, and I just had to take that time away from my desk, just not looking at my emails. So that's the first thing I did. And then I went about correcting it as much as I could. Like, I'm very much a kind of practical thinker. I try not to dwell on the mistake too much. I try and just like pick myself back up together and be like, okay, Sim, how am I going to fix this? And then after I've kind of had a chance to fix the mistake, kind of reflect on it, I start thinking about what could I do to make sure that that situation doesn't happen again. So the next question by Leo Abraham is my end goal with legal career. You know, would I want to be a partner? Would I move to the US or another country? So my end goal, it's weird. I don't really think about goals as such. Like, when I think about my legal career, I'm happy to just take every day as it comes. In terms of moving to another country, I don't see myself doing that at the moment. I quite like living in the UK. All my family and friends are here. I think moving to another country would be a massive move. But yeah, I don't really see myself doing that at the moment. But again, things could change. I'm just keeping a really kind of open mind as to where I end up. What I try and do is I just make sure that whatever I'm doing now is setting the foundations for future me to be comfortable and happy. So that's kind of how I go about my life, rather than saying, oh, I want to be at a certain place or a certain position by a certain age. I just don't really see the point in doing that, because plans can always change. So another question, have I ever been a victim of harassment due to my religion or ethnicity? Let's first look at what the definition of harassment is. Let me quickly Google that, because I want to make sure obviously I get this right. Aggressive pressure or intimidation. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I have been a victim of harassment. For example, when I was at my university and we were coming back from Diwali ball, we were all wearing our suits and stuff, decked out, fly as hell. And we did get racist comments from people walking past. Obviously not university students, but they just seem like locals in Bristol. So that wasn't cool. In terms of in the workplace, no. I don't think I've ever been in a situation like that where I've been kind of harassed because of my religion and ethnicity. I think pretty lucky that I've not experienced that. So next question kind of relates back to that previous one. Does being a Sikh in the corporate world feel isolating at times, or do you feel excluded at times? Now, this is a really interesting question. I don't think there's enough Sikhs in the legal profession. It's certainly growing, that's fantastic. And I'm certainly in group chats, for example, where there are loads of Sikh individuals. It's really nice to see Sikhs have more of a space and show more representation in professional spheres. However, it can feel excluding at times when, I guess, for example, when you are celebrating certain events like Vaisakhi and no one really knows in your firm that you're celebrating that, I think that can feel a little bit kind of excluding at times. I don't think that's coming from a malicious place. I think it's just more so people just don't know about it and there's not enough education or awareness about that. So there's that element. But then also, I guess I've been thinking recently in terms of leaderships. I don't know many people who are Sikh and who are partners in law firms, and or they are managing associates, or they're people who are quite high up in law firms, or even at trainee level. I think I'm the only Sikh in my law firm, and I've pretty much been that kind of person at loads of different places I've paralegaled at as well. So it is a little bit I wish there were more of us. I wouldn't say it would feel excluding or isolating. I think it's just more so it would be so nice to just see more of us there. However, I think for me, I also see it in another way in terms of a challenge. Why can't I be that trailblazer who encourages more Sikhs to enter into this profession? I think that's one way I kind of definitely take it. And I think there's definitely kind of mentoring schemes and stuff out there that are really helpful to Sikh individuals to get into the legal career, which is really positive to see. Do you ever feel like it's hard to connect with people who are middle class/white? I used to feel like this a lot when I was at university. I think a little bit of that was kind of an inferiority complex that I had in myself, where I wasn't really confident in myself. I had a lot of kind of insecurities in terms of the way I spoke, also insecurities that developed because of the colour of my skin. So before, at networking events, I used to find it really hard to connect. However, now, because I have that inner confidence in myself, I know I can speak well. I know that my colour of skin is something that should be celebrated rather than something that should be seen as inferior. So I don't find it hard to connect at the moment, because I put myself out there, I engage in conversations, and I ask questions, so then it allows me to connect with other individuals rather than just listening to other people talking and not really putting in my own input. So I don't really find it hard to connect at the moment. I understand where you're coming from with that question though, and I think a lot of I definitely used to feel like that because of that lack of confidence that I had, but now I don't really feel that as such, especially in my firm as well, where I feel like I'm in an environment where I am welcomed. A law student in Leeds has asked, how valued do you feel at your firm as a Punjabi woman in law? I've talked about this a little bit, obviously, with the previous question about being a Sikh individual in the workplace and whether I felt excluded because of that. I don't think my workplace really know that I'm Punjabi. Unless they watch these videos, then they obviously clearly know, and it's not really kind of come out in conversations, if that makes sense. But nevertheless, I still do feel valued, and I think the reason for that is because I feel like I can be myself. So if I was to talk about my Punjabi culture, if I was to say to people in my team, oh, I'm doing this because I'm celebrating this because this is what we do in my culture, they would 100% I'm sure they would be really kind of excited about it, they'd be curious about it, they would want to know more. So all kind of really positive things. It's only 8 weeks in as well, so it's not like, you know, I've had the chance to really talk about it or even show it. Like, for example, if I was bringing my Punjabi food into the office, I haven't really had a chance to do that because I haven't gotten into the office. What made me start my YouTube channel? So I talked a little bit about this at the start. It was a really kind of spontaneous decision. Two things happened. So firstly, I made an Instagram post where it was literally me talking to a camera, like an IGTV, and I had a lot of positive responses from that, and a lot of people felt like I could really display myself naturally on camera. And then 2 people that I know said to me, you should start a YouTube channel. And then from there I was just like, you know what, actually, why not? Let me try that out. If I have an idea about something, I let it kind of, sometimes sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. And I've talked about this in my recent newsletter. When I get ideas now, I actually let them sit down for a little bit and bubble before I jump into the idea. But a year ago, when I used to get ideas, I used to just jump and act on them straight away. And YouTube was one of them, which is, you know, sometimes a positive because it worked out well. But also, when you look at my first video, I wish, you know, I'd put a lot more planning and thought into what it takes to actually film a YouTube video. Done a lot more research, because maybe that first video would have been a lot better. Maybe I would have grown faster, but I have no regrets. I just went into it straight away, and that's the way I went about it. Actor Vibes has asked, what's my favorite thing about YouTube? So this is great coming from another YouTuber. Also check out Actor's channel. One of my favorite videos about her is about productivity and what Ali Abdaal, Matt Diavella and Thomas Frank have all taught her about productivity. Such a great video, definitely check it out. So in terms of this question, favorite thing about YouTube, I would say the community, the people that I've gotten to meet through YouTube has been such a positive and something that I would have never expected. The confidence that I've gotten to kind of reach out to people, put myself out there, has come from YouTube. So I've also been asked this question of how do you react when a stranger recognizes you in public from your YouTube videos? I've not had this yet. I've not had this situation where someone's recognized me. And I think it's also a massive plus about wearing a mask. I really like wearing face masks because it is low-key incognito mode. Not me acting like, you know, I'm like MJ when he's like running from the crowd like this. I'm definitely not on that level. If I was in that situation though, like say, I don't know, if I was in Westfields and someone recognized me, they're like, hey, whatever, like you're Sim, I would say hi, have a chat, like, you know, like I'd just be completely normal. Like it would be like meeting one of my friends. So that's how I would react. Like I'm not that famous in it, so it's not that deep. What is my long-term plan with my YouTube channel? Stay specific to law or broaden out? I think in terms of that latter part of the question, probably broaden out a little bit, give more insights into my life, give more insights into my views on things generally rather than from a legal perspective. Long-term plan, I just want to keep making videos. Like, yeah, I just want to keep creating, and yeah, I like that. I like doing that. So I never want to lose that passion. Sometimes I do get bogged down by the numbers. I want to like reach a certain number by a certain day. But I feel like, you know, when I start going into that mindset, it just becomes counterproductive. So yeah, I think my main long-term goal with YouTube is just to keep doing what I like doing and yeah, keep enjoying it basically. Do you have a skincare routine? Your skin is so nice. Ooh, dropped off my chair there. Firstly, thank you so much Lawyers Week for that. That's a really nice compliment. I get this question asked quite a lot about my skincare routine. I hate to be this kind of person, but like, I don't have one. I'm not trying to be like, oh my god, look at me, like I don't have a skincare routine. There's many reasons for why I don't. Firstly, I guess I don't really feel like I need one. Thankfully, genetics, I'm quite happy that my skin doesn't have a lot of problems. However, I caveat that because I'm really wary about trying out new products, especially with skin and makeup, because my skin is really sensitive. It can flare up just like that. I just get really scared about putting stuff on there that could potentially just flare it up and like ruin it. Oh, this next question. I don't know how to okay. Thoughts on dating as a Punjabi? Semi-serious but also me sliding into the DMs. Okay, let's tackle this in 2 parts. So thoughts on dating as a Punjabi. I don't really care. Jo karna kar lo, minnu ki. I don't really care. If you're gonna date someone, just make sure they're not toxic, innit? And they treat you right. Like that's kind of what I would say, and that applies to anyone. Second part of the question, sliding into DMs. Don't. My page is purely for professional purposes rather than a Punjabi kind of Tinder scene. Really don't want that. Megan from It's All Hearsay has said, what's your favourite Punjabi remix? DJ Frenzy goes in, I'm not gonna lie, he goes in. He's really kind of like the OG. I feel like everyone knows DJ Frenzy in the Punjabi community, so I feel like that's such a basic answer to give. There's loads of different like DJs out there that I really rate. Like I listen to a lot of them on SoundCloud, like DJ Sander, DJ Half, like all those ones from like Kudos and stuff like that. They're really cool. How do I spend my money? That's not personal at all. Like this is a Q&A and it asks whatever you want. I would say I'm quite good with my money, if I'm honest with you. I put 1/10 of my money, is it 1/10? I can't do the fractions, I could be completely wrong here, but like 10% of my money I feel like goes into a stocks and shares ISA. I put a little bit into crypto as well, started investing in crypto recently as well. But with that, I only use the income that I can afford to lose because obviously crypto is so volatile. What else do I spend my money on? I spend it usually on like motors with my friends, if I'm honest with you. I believe more in spending money on experiences rather than like clothes and stuff. What's my favorite Bhangra track at the moment? Oh, I'm really bumping to AP Dylan, but I've already given an AP Dylan track recently. I think my favorite track at the moment, probably Diljit Dosanjh Bead. That's such a like beautiful song. I think I'll go with that. Have I ever used I'm a law student as a chat up line? No, because that would be counterproductive. Like who wants to date a law student? Like why would I shoot myself in the foot like that, you know? Thank you for watching this Q&A. I hope you've gained a really great insight into who I am, but also gained some tips about the training contract process as well. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and thank you again for your continuous support.